Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know before this video will go up, I probably would have put to bed, and I probably would have been at home for a while, and you probably may not have seen me on this channel for a while. So I'm making this video in advance. I'm like 1 month 2 weeks into my pregnancy, and I felt like I should do this video because most often than not, a lot of persons don't want to talk about their struggle because they feel like people will label them. I just want to be your mouthpiece. I just want to let you know that you're not alone in this journey. So many persons are facing a lot of issues after marriage, and you're not just alone. And one thing I want you to know is that there is nothing absolutely wrong with you. This video may elapse into a 2-section kind of video because this is a tell it all video. I want to be all open about this, and if you are in for this kind of video, of course, just stick around with me. So after marriage, a lot of times we are very excited. We think that is all going to be rosy, it's all going to be beautiful, and that is the hope. But sometimes you get into marriage and things just don't go that way. So I got engaged February 14th, and immediately after I got engaged, I've always been somebody that wants to have kids. I've always longed for kids, and in my head I felt like I wanted my wedding to even be June, July, so that I can get pregnant before then. And immediately after marriage, we just be counting like 4 months, 5 months into our pregnancy, and that. But Providence did not let that happen. My marriage ended up falling on November 13th. You already know the story if you've been following this channel from the get-go. So February 14th we got engaged, and from then on, me and my husband basically stopped using any protection for ourselves. I was very, very expectant. I felt like when you want to get pregnant, it's just for the sperm to meet the uterus or the ovary or whatever, and there is a fertilization. I didn't know there was technique to that. So from then on, we started trying. I started trying. I know my husband was not really particular about getting a baby as at that time, but me, I was particular about it. I really wanted to get pregnant. So March, April, May, June, it didn't happen. At some point, I decided to start taking probiotics, and I even started taking folic acid at a point, and I started taking serious note about my menstrual cycle. Before, it was just any day the guy won't come make a come jare, but this time around I became particular about my period. So I even had to download an app. I think it's Pink Bed. I had to download that, and I put in my date. After a while, I was following the app. I noticed that my period usually skips. There was this particular time that I think was it June or July, I can't remember, that my period skipped. Like it skipped 1 day, it skipped 2 days, and like it didn't come. It's supposed to come today, it didn't come the next day, it didn't come 2 days later, and I was silently excited that it's as if this thing has happened. I told my husband about it, and we went and did a blood pregnancy test, and it came out negative. It was calm about it. We still had time. I mean, we were still flexing and all that. So that was how we continued, and August, his dad died. We were focused on the burial. But that was the month I decided that, because I started noticing that my period was now like, it usually comes today, the second day is already almost drying up or something. So I decided to change the circle to a 3 days kind of thing, and a 26 circle, a 26-day circle. So I changed it to that, and from then on, or more, if the date tells you that it will come on 25th, best believe that 25th early morning like this, you just feel that hot thing to just come and boom. And so I noticed this, and I was grateful that okay, my period were very regular. But another thing I also noticed was that anytime I me and my husband got down, when it comes inside me, the sperm will start rolling out after a while, and then by morning is already having a foul smell. I don't know why that was. We even had to go and do infection test. His came out clean. Mine came out with what they call it, one of those infections, sha. And we both treated for that, and we continued. But this situation continued. It persisted. So I was I just felt like okay, since we've treated, there was nothing there no more. Maybe that was how it was with every other person. I asked one or two persons, and some persons confirmed that with them this was the case. So I relaxed. Um, and we went. I think August, September, October. It was the same thing, but I became worried. October. I mean, it was 1 month to my wedding. As at this time, I felt like I should be pregnant, and we've been trying close to 1 year now, from February down to October, and this thing still hasn't happened. Like, what was the problem? I was getting worried. I know my husband was getting worried, but somehow he didn't want to put pressure on me, so he wasn't talking about it. So we're both just going through it without actually talking to each other about what we're going through. So it just continued like that, and my wedding came and went. So my wedding was November 13th, and my period was supposed to come December 13th, according to my calendar, exactly 1 month into my wedding. My husband traveled on the 10th of December, leaving me home alone. On the 11th, I became an emotional wreck. Like, I was expecting the period, and I was not expecting the period. I mean, we had done everything. In as much as we were on our honeymoon, we were into each other. We got down on the day we're supposed to get down and all that, but we didn't really get down on the day of, or supposed day of ovulation. So, but I know that we had a 3-day window: the day before the ovulation day, and the day after the ovulation. So I was basically expecting that one of those days would have caught. But on the 12th of December, that night, I was home alone. I couldn't sleep. I was rolling on my bed, and I was just praying to God. God, I don't want this thing to come out. I don't want it to come out. 4 a.m. that morning, I just felt that hot, that warm, something coming out, and I was like, no, this should not be it. I put my hand and I checked, and it was it. And I can't even begin to explain what I felt that day. I was broken, because I felt like this was the month it was supposed to happen. I cried my eyes out. I'm not sure I've ever cried. I've cried that kind of tears, or I've shed that kind of tears before, but this time it was heart wrenching. It was from the heart. Like, in the midst of my struggle and confusion and annoyance and whatever it is, disillusion, whatever it is you want to call it, I sent an SOS to my Reverend Father. I was like, guy, this is the situation of things. I was expecting not to see my period this month, and the period just came, and I am an emotional wreck. Please pray for me and my husband. I don't know what is going on. I don't know what is happening with us and everything. And I sent it to him on WhatsApp that morning, that early morning. I couldn't even call my husband to talk to him because I didn't want to put the mindset that there was anything wrong with us in his head. So it was my Reverend Father that I had to talk to. So the next morning, which was like 8 a.m., my husband was on WhatsApp sending me happy wedding 1 month anniversary, baby. I was here crying my eyes out. My husband was sending me happy 1 month anniversary. I smiled in my tears when I saw the message, and that kind of gave me a little strength. So I just replied him, thank you, baby, happy anniversary to you too. And you know, I posted and all. And the next thing, my Reverend Father is calling me, and he was like, Josephine, 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 how many times did I call you? I said, Father, 3 times. He said, you cannot even create fly, you cannot create cockroach, there's nothing you can create, yet you are just here disturbing yourself. When did you get married here that you are already talking like this? Is something wrong with you? If you like, don't tell me anything again after this one. I am going to tell you the truth. You don't know that this anxiety you are putting on yourself is not necessary. It's not even going to let the baby come because you are so worried. You are so particular about this. I just listened to him talk. And in that moment, I felt sorry that I was like, I was ungrateful. I was just 1 month into my marriage, and I was putting this much stress on myself. Like, I didn't even allow God to do what he knows how to do best. I know I've been calling upon him, but when he finished talking to me, I felt remorseful. And the next thing was like, when you and your husband have time, try to see me. And then he cut the call. After that call, I pretty much stood up. I was a little bit energized, and I knelt down and I was begging God. I was telling God I was sorry for being ungrateful, sorry for everything. So, and I continued my day. Then one of my friends visited me that day, and we're just discussing randomly, and I didn't know when I started crying again in her presence. I don't know what we're talking about, and I just started crying again in her presence. It just seemed like everybody around me was falling pregnant except me. Like, I was just having this news: this person got pregnant, or this person is pregnant, the other person is not pregnant. You know, I was just having it, and I was like, why then is my own? Everybody around me is getting pregnant. Why then am I finding it difficult to get pregnant? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with my husband? What is the problem? And she was like, there was nothing wrong with me as long as I just remove my mind from the whole thing and just go about my life. And I did not just know, I just cried. And then, because of that stuff about when my husband comes inside me and I start having bad smelly secretion, I felt like there was still something, like there was maybe an infection that was causing it. So I decided to take agbo for that. So I told one of my aunts, and she basically directed me to somewhere I could get it, and I got it. And I was told to take it, I think 3 days, like from the first day of my period down to 5 days after. Like, first day of my period, 5 days counting from the first day of my period. So after then, I was supposed to stop taking it, and I should do that this second month and continuously. And I adhered to that rule for 2 months. Like, I did it the first month, and the second month, oh my, that thing is bitter. But anything for my baby, I just felt like I would do anything to have my bundle of joy. So bitter or not, I was ready to take it. So I was taking it, and after the second month I just stopped taking it. And instead, when I was taking it the first month though, I my husband came back. I eventually told my husband what had happened that day, and how I had called my reverend father, and how my reverend father had said he wanted to see us and everything. My husband tried as much as possible to be as calm as he could, but I know that it was boiling within him. And we actually went to see my reverend father. My reverend father just spoke with us, and we passed that stage. So my husband said I was going to follow him back to Enugu when he was going back to Enugu, and I did not even put up any resistance. I just wanted to be around him, just so that I don't get emotionally drained again. So this time around, when we were going, I before I even came back, after while I was taking the drug, I started this 9-day novena. I had bought the St. Michael candle and the prayer book that I was going to pray for that 9 days. And my husband met me the first day I did it alone. The second day my husband met me on it, and he joined. I told him that this is what I was doing, and he joined me with the prayers. So when we were traveling to Enugu, we took the candle along with us. Immediately I got to Enugu, I put it back on. That candle was, immediately you put it on, it's going to stay on through to the 9th day and to go off on its own. So immediately I got to Enugu, I put it back on, and then we started doing the novena together. On the 8th day, I think, no, on the 7th day of that novena, the devil reared its ugly head and made us quarrel. Like, quarrel to the point of we're not speaking with each other for 5 days. After that, like, the remaining 2 days into the novena, like, we were praying separately, you know and I did not really see the temptation beforehand, and we both fell into that temptation. And what really happened, he came back from work. He did that thing a day before that day, and he just came back from work. He was tired, he laid down to sleep, and by 11 o'clock I woke him up and we prayed. The next day he came back and he did that same thing, and I by 11 o'clock I woke him up for us to pray, and he was rolling on the bed, and he was like, he was tired, that he will wake up soon and everything. I was trying to be the good Samaritan, like, okay, this man is really tired, so let me just leave him and say the prayers alone. And I was praying when my husband woke up from sleep and went to ease himself. What stopped him from joining the prayer as at that time? My husband did not join the prayer, so he lay down on the bed, and I finished praying. When I finished praying, I was like, so you had to say the prayer without me, and that became an issue. The way he was talking about it, I became defensive about my own stance on it, and that was basically what caused the quarrel. We did not know that it was the plan of the devil to cause a rift between the both of us, but we both fell into that trap, and we quarreled up until the novena finished. The candle went off on its own, and that was it. Still, where I was this time around, I was trying to be very in tune with God. Now, there was a very significant thing that happened before we got to Enugu. When we carried that candle and we're going down to Enugu that day, I asked my husband. I don't just know what started the discussion, but I asked him. I was like, babe, what would you want to name your baby boy? I said it like that, and he was like, Arthur. He would like to name the baby boy Arthur. And I was like, Arthur. He said yes. I said, okay, what's the meaning of Arthur? He said, he gave me the meaning of Arthur, and and I was like, prior to that time, if you ask me the sex for which I wanted, I would always tell you it's a girl. It depends on the mood you meet me. I'll tell you it's a girl, or I'll tell you it's a boy. I didn't really have a stance as to what sex I wanted. Sometimes I wanted a boy because my husband is an able man, So having a boy, you know, the Igbo mentality kind of thing. But then again, I will see a baby girl and I'll be like, adorable, so sweet, that baby is beautiful and all that. So it was just always a mixed feeling for me. I had never had a stand. So I didn't know what specifically made me that day to say, what are you going to name your baby boy? And immediately he told me that Hathor and gave me the meaning of Hathor, I I don't just know where the name came from, but the name came Jaden, and I was like, what's Jaden again? And immediately I carried my phone and I checked the meaning of Jaden. Oh, sorry, Jaden, as in J-E. That was the name that came to me. Like it was Jaden. I was like, what's the meaning of Jaden? So I went to Google and I checked the name, and lo and behold, it means God has heard. And immediately I had this goose pimple on my body. I felt I felt so, I don't know what I felt, but I was like, God has heard. I just looked up to heaven. Even before we completed that novena, I just looked up to heaven. I was like, hey, God. So the novena came, the quarrel happened, and that was that for that. This is going to be the end of this first session of the video. If you're enjoying this story so far, drop a comment and I'll post the next video that is going to be concluding this
Thank you.
one. Thank you for sticking to this point of the video. Of course, like and share this video to encourage somebody. The next video will be the concluding part of this video, and I hope it speaks to you as a person, as a woman. You are not alone. If you can speak to God, God hears and God listens and he answers prayers.